I've got a little secret for you. The people that always say I'm going to wait and get started in January, they've been starting in January for the last 5 or 10 years. Right, welcome back to another episode, and today we're going to talk about how to minimise your weight gain over the festive period. Alright, so we're just on the kind of the middle point of December at the minute, so it's normally over this sort of next 2 to 3 weeks that things start to go a little bit mental. There's Christmas nights out, there's party nights, there's obviously nights in with your family, then you've got the big day itself where you're undoubtedly going to stuff your face full of all kinds of shit. You know, there's going to be food and drink on tap everywhere you turn. So how do we navigate this time without piling on a whole extra pile of weight? Or do we even just bother? Do we even bother at all? Do we just say, fuck it, there's no point now, man, I might as well just go bananas and I'll pick up the pieces in January, which is what a lot of people do, man. They either pack in the towel completely, restart things in January, or if they haven't even started yet, they just say, well, what's the point anyway, man, I'm just going to wait and get started in January. And I've got a little secret for you. The people that always say I'm going to wait and get started in January, they've been starting in January for the last 5 or 10 years. It's not the way to do things, man. You're much better getting started now and building up some healthier habits now, speaking about doing the things that I'm about to speak about today, and that's going to put you in a much better footing when January rolls around. Alright, so okay, so let's dive into this, man. Like the Christmas period has got to be, without a doubt, one of the most difficult times to stay on track when it comes to nutrition. And the question you've got to ask yourself is, do you even want to stay on track? All right, because here's the thing, man. Think about it this way. This 2 or 3 week period of time, it's really not going to make that much of a difference over the grand scheme of things. Now, I'm not saying that over the next 2 or 3 weeks you just go and stuff your face and eat everything that you can find, because I said it's not going to make much of a difference. But if we just look at it realistically, alright, if you have a little bit extra food here and there, you have a couple of extra nights out drinking, sure, you might gain a few extra pounds. But realistically, it's not this 3 week period that make the difference. It's what we do the rest of the time that makes the difference. Alright, so if your diet has been absolutely shit for the whole year, and you've been stuffing your face full of all kinds of crap, jumping from diet to diet, not really making much in the way of progress, you've maybe accumulatively over the course of the year, since the new year started last year, up to this point, you've maybe gained an extra 3, 4, 5 pounds. Alright, then you're going to gain an extra couple over the Christmas period, which is normal. You know, at the very best, man, maybe you're going to maintain weight. But it's what you've done the rest of the time that's made the biggest difference. Alright, so when it comes to this next 2 or 3 weeks, of course, there are some strategies we can put in place. And I speak about this with my clients all the time. There are things that we can do to minimise the damage as such. But what we have to understand is that if things do go a little bit squint, it's not the end of the world. Alright, it really is not the end of the world, because we can pick things back up again. Alright, but with that being said, like, how do we go through this period? So if you're somebody that's already been going through a weight loss journey, if you started losing weight, you know, at the start of the year, or you started losing weight in summer, or maybe even just like a couple of weeks ago, you've started the process, or you're just somebody that's looking to start the process, then how do you do that without absolutely blowing it all up over the course of the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks? Well, here's the thing, man. What we have to think about is, the first thing we need to understand is that the nights out, the Christmas dinners, the temptation is going to be there, right? It's going to be there. And if we go out, if we go for a meal out, we're not going to go out. Like, if I go out for a meal, I'm going to have a 3-course Christmas meal, 100%. Like, it's my wee girl's birthday next Thursday night. All right, we're going out for dinner. There's a Christmas menu, and I'm having a 3-course meal. I'm going to have a starter, I'm going to have lentil soup. I have the same every time I go out for a Christmas dinner. I'll be lentil soup, I'll have a full-on Christmas dinner, and then I'll have Christmas pudding and brandy sauce for my dessert. Guaranteed, and I know I'm going to have that. Alright, Christmas Day, I am going to go bananas. I do every Christmas Day. I love Christmas dinner. So I'll load up my plate, I go back for seconds, I have a Christmas pudding, I normally have prawn cocktail for my starter. I make the most of that day. I pick away at chocolates, I eat crisps, I have my fill over the course of that day. Alright, there's going to be other days that are going to come in between time, and I have to understand that I'm not looking to try and be perfect over this time. Alright, now I'm not on a diet. I've said that people ask me this all the time, well, what kind of diet are you on? I'm not on a diet. I don't follow a diet. I'm just very careful with what I do nutrition wise. If I want to have chocolate, I'll have chocolate. If I want to have pizza, I'll have pizza. If I want to have a Chinese takeaway, I have a Chinese takeaway. I just don't have that stuff all the time. I make room for it in my diet, and I use diet as my overall kind of eating strategy. It's not that I'm on an actual diet. But that very same strategy is what I use over the course of the Christmas period, and that is what I get all my clients to do as well. So while we know that if you know that you're going to have a night out planned, if you know that you've got something planned, so Christmas Day I don't bother accounting for. I just let Christmas Day be Christmas Day. But when it's my wee girl's birthday on the 21st, when we go out for dinner, because I know I'm going to have that huge big meal at night, I'm going to trim back what I do through the day. I'm going to have a little bit smaller. Now, I don't count my calories, I don't weigh out my foods. I'm not saying that that's the strategy you should employ. If you want to count calories and you want to weigh food, cool, crack on and do it. We do some of that. We do that with some of our clients, but for most of my clients that I work with, we follow a framework. We call it our 3-1-3 nutrition framework, which is just essentially eating 3 meals a day, 1 litre of water, 3 meals a day, 1 protein-based snack and 3 litres of water. That's it. All right, and all the meals are based around protein. Now, on the next Thursday, when I know that I'm going out for a Christmas dinner, all I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce down what I eat through the day. I'm going to have a little bit less through the day. I might have I'll have next to nothing for breakfast. I'll have a very small, maybe have like a protein shake and a banana for breakfast, which is going to slash my calories in half at breakfast time. For my lunch, I'll maybe skip on the bread and I'll just have a chicken salad. Again, that's going to cut my calories in half. I won't have my snacks that I would normally have. I'll just trim them back a bit, which is then going to give me that freedom to then go out and fully enjoy my Christmas dinner. Alright, so over the course, instead of me eating my normal food, so my normal day I eat around about 2,500 calories normally, and that's me just maintaining my weight. Alright, if I was to eat my usual breakfast and lunch, I'd be up at almost maybe 1900, there or thereabouts. Alright, so my dinner in itself is probably going to be about 1800 calories, alright, which is going to put me at 3600 for the day. But if I can cut down by half what I do through the day, cut it down a bit, I'll probably still be in a bit of a surplus, but it's not going to be as big of a surplus. Alright, so I'm still going to eat more than I normally would, but it's not going to be as much as I would if I just kept eating normally. Alright, so the strategy around this, when you've got these nights outs coming, Christmas night outs, family night outs, whatever it may be, account for it in advance. Alright, if you know that you're going to be going out, if you know you've got a night out coming up, just plan for it in advance. So okay, at the weekend I know I'm definitely going to overconsume, so you can either cut down the calories on that day to allow you freedom at night, or you can cut down your calories all the way through the week. You can maybe have smaller breakfasts every day through the week, a wee bit smaller lunches every day through the week, and then have your normal dinner so that you're not completely starving at night time. And then when it gets to the weekend, you've given yourself a whole bank of calories, a whole load of calories that you can then enjoy yourself without massively over consuming, as opposed to just eating normally and just doing everything you normally would and then having your huge night out and stuffing your face full of all the crap, and then you've massively over consumed. Now, like I said earlier, man, that one little day is not going to cause the problem, but if you've got multiple nights outs coming, if you've got multiple family dinners coming, multiple different things going on, and you're not accounting for any of them and you're just overeating, you're probably going to put yourself into a fairly hefty surplus over the course, which is more than likely going to start to lead to a bit of weight gain. But if you can make a little bit of allowances and start to kind of cut back in certain areas, and please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I'm not telling you to starve yourself. All right, the very last thing I want us to do is to say, right, okay, Ian said that I need to make allowances elsewhere. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to starve myself all day, and then I'm going to go and eat loads of food at night. That's a really terrible strategy, all right? Because if you're anything like me, this is why fasting doesn't work for me. If I skip on my breakfast, if I don't have any breakfast, and then I go out and have, I get my fill later on in the day, I end up just picking on loads of crap through the course of the day. So any calories that I saved doing my fast, I've then completely ruined because I've overconsumed over the rest of the day. Probably overconsumed what I would normally have eaten if I had just had breakfast. Whereas when I have breakfast, I have no desire to snack at all. I have my breakfast, I have my lunch. In between my lunch and my dinner, I don't have anything. I'll maybe have a protein shake. If I've been at the gym, I'll maybe have a protein shake just to get some extra protein in. But I generally try and keep my snacks to a minimum, and I don't feel the need to constantly snack if I have my breakfast. Right, so I'm not saying to starve yourself. At no point do we want to starve ourselves. However, we can make a little bit of a cutback because we know we're going out for a certain night. We can make that allowance to give ourselves that little bit extra freedom so that we're not over consuming on those calories. All right, now in addition to that, another thing that we make sure we implement with all of our clients is let's keep you as active as we possibly can. So December is not an excuse to just say, you know what, man, it's December, it's Christmas time, let's just shut everything down. I'm just not going to bother doing anything. No, man, still go out and get your walks in. Right? If you can go out and get some steps in, you know, every day go out and get active, get your steps in. If you're actively going to the gym, make sure you're still getting to the gym at a minimum 2 times in your week. I know things get a bit busy and it's not always the easiest to just get away. Like, work can be a bit busy at this time of year as things start closing down for the year. All the events that you've got coming up, different parties and whatever else, it's not always easy to just come home, get to the gym and then get out to your events, or come home after work and then get back out to the gym if you've had to maybe stay longer in the office. Like, I totally get it. It's not always easiest to do. But try and make sure that we're still getting at least maybe 2 days of strength training in when you're at that gym, or if you're not at the gym, if you're doing it at home, you know, a couple of days, 2 to 3 days of kind of body weight exercise, so you're still maintaining and building that muscle mass, all right? And try and be religious in that practice, right? Don't just let that fall away. Like, make sure that's something that you're always getting in. Don't, you know, again, I'm not saying that you have to be in the gym every single day. I'm not saying that you have to be crushing exercise every single day, but just do what you can to keep yourself active, because when you stop doing anything, if you sit back in your arse and do nothing, especially if you're just getting into this, if you're just getting into losing weight, if you've maybe only just started, you've started going to the gym, you've started doing some working out at home, you've maybe started going out for runs or whatever it may be, all right, you've maybe had a moment of motivation where you're like, right, I'm going to go and do this thing. All right, now I speak about motivation a lot. I've got a different views on motivation, but that's not for this video. But maybe you've had a moment where you felt super motivated, you've got yourself started. Then all of a sudden life gets difficult around this time of year. It gets challenging, it gets busy, things are going on. That's when it's normally really easy for you to stop. This is why I'm a big fan of starting when things are difficult. Start, so if you've not already started, now's the best time. Get started right now, even if you're not feeling motivated, even if you don't have the time. Start right now, because then when you do feel motivated in January, you've already got that ball rolling. You've already started building these habits and getting things into play to put you in a really good position to rocket yourself forward in the new year. As opposed to saying, you know, life's hectic just now, I'm just not going to bother, I'll wait until January and then I'll start again. You'll start in January when you feel motivated, but then as soon as things get difficult again, you'll probably pie it all in. All right, that's why a lot of people start in January and they've fallen off by the end of February. All right, because they've not got this built in as a habit yet. All right, so if you've not started, now is the perfect time. Get yourself started now. Go out for those walks. Go and join the gym, or do some body weight exercise at home. Do something to get the ball rolling, all right? Start trimming back your calories a little bit. Increase your protein intake. Like, you know, I speak about these kind of things all the time, man. If you are starting, actually, just quickly down below, I'm going to link into a wee fat loss course that you can go and download. If you've no idea what you're doing, go and download that little fat loss course and watch it, and it'll show you exactly what to do. All right, it'll walk you through the whole journey step by step. It'll show you exactly what you need to do. So make sure you go and download that if you've no idea where to start. I digress. I went off track. So essentially what I'm trying to say is the easiest way to navigate December is first and foremost not to panic about it. All right, December is, like I said earlier, is the most challenging time of year. It's without a doubt the most challenging time of year. All right, but as long as we can accept that these events are going to happen, as long as we can accept that we're not going to be perfect through this time, and as long as we also don't just throw the towel and be like, there's no point, I'll just wait and start again. Like, don't do that. Just keep that momentum going. If you started already, keep the momentum going, right? Whether it be just walking every day or just you keep it on top of your nutrition in between times. Like, so if you have 2 nights out in the week, if you know you've got 2 nights out in the week, cool. It's 2 nights out in the week. Keep your nutrition dialed in the rest of the week. Like, keep yourself dialed in as much as you possibly can through the rest of the week. And again, that's difficult because people come in with boxes of chocolates to your work, and like, I teach karate to kids, and they bring me boxes of sweeties and boxes of chocolates and all sorts of stuff. And it's like, if that stuff's open in my house, I'm like, chocolate is my Achilles heel. I can leave crisps, I can leave those little gummy sweeties, I don't mind any of that stuff. But the minute chocolate gets opened, it's a disaster. All right, so I'm not saying not to have any of it, but I am saying try and be as mindful as you possibly can. All right, if you know these things trigger you, don't buy them into your house until you absolutely have to. Right, so I told my wife at the start of December, don't buy any mince pies, because I love a mince pie. Don't buy any mince pies. Buy none at all until closer to Christmas Day. I'll eat them round about Christmas Day. I don't want any in the house before that because I know that I'll eat them. Alright, I know that I'll eat them. So she's helped me out there, she's not bought any. Alright. The chocolates, she did buy some chocolates, she bought them a couple of months ago and she opened them in the house. They were supposed to be for Christmas. She opened them, offered me one, game over. I've ate the whole box. They were all gone because she only likes the toffee pennies and the fudgies. I like all the rest of it, so I ate the whole box. Over the course of a week I smashed the whole box, which is good for me because normally I'd done that over the course of 2 days, but it took me a week. But the result is I've had to go and buy more chocolate, alright, which is now fully sealed and in a cupboard away from my eyes, so I can't see it and I can't get near it. Alright, so if you do feel triggered by certain foods, just maybe don't buy them for the house. Keep them out the house, alright? But again, I digress. So the whole point I'm trying to make here is you're not going to stay 100% on track in December. You're just not, alright? But it's not what we do over the course of these next 2 or 3 weeks to make the big difference. It's what we do the rest of the time. With that being said, you have to plan things in advance, alright? You plan your events in advance, plan your nights out in advance, plan your parties in advance. When you know you've got them, make allowances elsewhere to give you that freedom to eat the things that you want to eat, so you can fully enjoy yourself without going, oh man, I shouldn't have had that, I can't believe I've done this. Because when we go down that guilt path and start going, oh, you know, following that, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have eaten that, I can't believe I've done it. What can tend to happen, especially if we've got a tendency to eat our feelings, where we feel emotional, we feel stressed, or we feel guilty, we then go and start eating to kind of mask that emotion. The minute you start feeling guilty about the fact that you've had one extra mince pie or a wee bit extra kind of turkey on your Christmas plate or whatever it may be, you feel guilty and you go, oh, I can't believe I've done that. Well, I've ruined my progress now. I might as well just go bananas for the rest of the week. So if you have a Christmas party night on a Monday and you let your hair down and go wild on the Monday, and then you take that, fuck it mentality and just go bananas, I might as well just pack in now. There's no point. The whole rest of the week then is written off. And instead of over consuming by maybe 1,000 calories on the Monday, by the time the end of the week comes, you could have over-consumed by an extra 3, 4, 5,000 calories if you just pie it all in and start stuffing your face with everything throughout the whole week. Alright, now if you want to gain a pound of fat, man, you need to eat 3,500 calories over what you would normally eat. That's how you gain a pound of fat. So over the course of the week, if you pie it on the Monday and start stuffing your face for the whole week, you can easily gain 2 or 3 pounds just by taking that approach. Whereas if you allow yourself to have that night on the Monday and then just keep everything else dialed in the rest of the time, that wee 1,000 calories you're going to have off in no time. It's not going to make a massive difference. Right, and then when Christmas Day comes around, just treat it as a day of, oh, you know, I'm going to eat as I please today. I'll let myself go nuts. I go wild on Christmas Day. I have a wee bit of kind of freedom on Boxing Day. I go out for a run on Boxing Day and just kind of keep myself active. If the gym's open, I go to the gym. I make sure I'm out walking with my dog, and I keep myself moving. And then again, it allows me to have a few chocolates on Boxing Day. The day after Boxing Day, I hide it all. I get it all away from me. I give my wife any leftover chocolates. I get it to your work. Get it out of my face. Because if it's in the house, I'll eat it. Right, and then it's gone. Then I'm back on track. And then between Boxing Day and New Year, I keep myself on track. New Year, we don't really do a lot for New Year, man. We'll maybe have a pizza for our dinner, maybe have a couple of drinks, and then I go to my bed. So in New Year, I don't really do much. New Year's Day, we might go out for a meal, but if anywhere's open, but which I don't think it is, we might just order food in. But again, it's a very small thing. So over the course, instead of just taking from now until the January the 1st, January the 2nd, instead of just looking at it and going, oh, what's the point, man? It's Christmas. I'm just going to stuff my face, eating thousands of extra calories where you could easily gain an extra 3 or 4, 5 pounds of fat in that time. You're going to plan these things in advance. You're going to keep the calorie intake to a minimum where possible. And you might maintain your weight, you might stay the same, you might gain an extra pound, but it's not going to be anywhere near as bad as if you absolutely stuffed your face for 2 or 3 weeks solid. Alright, so it doesn't have to be the chaotic time for your waistline that we all think it is. Alright, if you can keep yourself active and just follow these very basic principles, like I say, if you go and download my fat loss course, that'll kind of walk you through it. It's a 3-part course, man. It'll take you no more than an hour to watch. You can do it in three separate parts. I talk about nutrition, I talk about exercise, I talk about how you actually burn fat, how you lose weight, and I explain it all to you so you can fully understand what goes on. Alright, but go and download that course, watch through it, and then just do what I've spoken about in this video. Like, plan your things in advance. And if something does come up, if something unplanned happens, like you've got to Saturday and you weren't planning anything, but then some family drop in and you end up ordering pizza and you haven't allowed for things. Again, it's not the end of the world, man. All right, a lot of people look at that. Oh, I've not made my allowance. I can't believe I've done that. That's it. That's Ian's strategy ruined. No, it's only ruined if you allow it to then spiral into another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 days. It's one event, man. It happened. That one day is not going to make a difference. It's what we do the rest of the time. Alright, so keep it as dialed in as you can. in between your events. Like, of course, if you want to have a chocolate or whatever else, fair enough, man. But try and keep it as dialed in as you can in between times, and then when your events come, you've already pre-planned for it, you know it's coming, you've made an allowance, you can then enjoy yourself fully. You're keeping yourself active, you're still going out to the gym, lifting 2 or 3 weights where possible. That way, when the new year rolls in, you're in a much better starting position. Right, and the same goes for the people that if you've not started already and you're looking at this and going, well, do you know what? I am just going to get started in the new year. Don't do that, man. Start now. Like, imagine if you started now and you didn't gain any extra weight at all over the course of the next 2 weeks. Like, I've already debriefed all of my clients that best case scenario, like absolute best case scenario, is we still lose a pound or two over the festive. Amazing. All right. Good scenario, like, where we're expecting to be, is we kind of maintain our weight, maybe gain a pound or two. Worst case scenario is you gain 3 or 4 pounds. Cool. It's 3 or 4 pounds, man. It's not the end of the world. But at least the habits are already in place. They've already kind of got that mindset of, oh, this is what I need to do. I know I need to walk. I know I need to drink water. I know I need to focus on my protein. I know I need to eat a kind of balanced framework for my meals each day. And this is how I need to eat. Right? And as long as we kind of follow that and adhere to that, we're then, when January comes in, we just need to get straight back to doing that, as opposed to having to look at January and go, right, what do I do? What diet do I need to start? Like, I'll just have these shakes and I'll have this detox pill and I'll have that. Like, man, stop. All right, get started now, build those habits, and get yourself in a much better position when January rolls in. All right, so anyway, listen, I hope that made sense. If it did, I'd love for you to leave me a wee comment down below. And if you've got any questions at all, please leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you've got. As you've noticed on these videos, man, I sometimes tend to go off in tangents. I don't write things down, man. I don't have any notes. I maybe should start having notes to make it a bit more coherent. But I just kind of speak what's on my mind. I feel, for me personally, that allows me to bring the best energy to these videos. When I try and read off a script, I feel like I'm scripted. I feel like I'm quite restricted. I'm looking down to see what's going on. I don't get the right energy into it. I don't get as enthusiastic about it, and I don't feel it's quite as real. So this way, at least, I feel like I'm speaking from my heart. It's the strategies that I use. It's the things that I feel passionate about. It's the things that I teach to my clients, and I just really hope that I can give you some help and guidance to get yourself through this otherwise chaotic time of year. All right, so leave me a wee comment down below, let me know what your thoughts are on this, and if you've got any questions, and if you haven't done so already, maybe consider popping your finger on that wee subscribe button, and just giving us some love to help the algorithm out, so we can get these videos out to more people. And that's us. Until the next one, have an absolutely fantastic Christmas and an awesome New Year. Make sure you go and download that little fat loss course and get yourself started now, or at the very least keep yourself going now. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.